Welcome to another confession from the Dying Lands. This is the testimony of a Darkwraith, one of the oldest servants of the Abyss, speaking about what it truly means to join Kaathe's covenant and serve the darkness for eternity. You might think joining the Darkwraiths grants power. You might believe the promises about the Age of Dark and humanity's true nature. You might see the Red Eye Orb and the Dark Hand as tools that will make you strong. But what if power came with a price that never stops being paid? What if the armor fused to your flesh? What if the hunger to drain humanity became all you are, consuming everything that made you human while leaving you aware enough to remember what you lost? This is the reality of being a Darkwraith, told by someone who has served the Abyss for centuries and can never escape. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. I need to tell you what they don't mention when Kaathe whispers his promises into your ear. I need you to understand what it really means to serve the Abyss, because once you put on this armor, once you feel that skeletal mask press against your face for the first time, there is no going back. The mask fuses with your flesh, not metaphorically, not eventually. It happens the moment you accept your place in the covenant, and you feel the bone meld with skin, becoming something that is neither armor nor face but a twisted fusion of both. My name was something once. I think it had 3 syllables, maybe 4. The syllables fade like ripples on water, and all that remains is this hunger, this cold, hollow space where a person used to exist. I was a knight of New Londo. Do you understand what that meant? New Londo was not always the drowned corpse of a city you wade through now. We had culture. We had families living in homes with windows that caught the morning light. Children played in streets that were not choked with water and death. The 4 kings ruled with wisdom that earned them fragments of Gwyn's own Lord Soul. We stood guard over something precious, something that felt like it mattered. Then Kaathe came. He arrived as primordial serpent stew, sliding up from the depths beneath our city, his voice smooth as oil on water. The 4 kings met with him in private chambers, where even we knights were not permitted. When they emerged, their eyes had changed. Not the color, not anything you could point to and say that is different. But something fundamental had shifted behind those eyes, like watching someone you love become a stranger while wearing a familiar face. They gathered us in the great hall. I remember torchlight reflecting off polished armor, the weight of my sword at my hip, the pride of standing among New Londo's finest. The first king spoke about power, about humanity, about the truth the gods had hidden from us. He said we had been lied to, that the Age of Fire was a cage built to contain what we truly were. He said Kaathe had shown them the way forward, a path to strength that would make us unstoppable. The art of Lifedrain, he called it. The power to absorb humanity itself from other beings, to take their essence and make it your own, to grow stronger with every soul you consumed. It sounded glorious. I volunteered. I stepped forward when he asked who would be first to learn this art, to become the vanguard of a new age. I was young. I was strong. I believed every word that dripped from their lips like honey laced with poison. Kaathe taught us personally. He showed us how to channel the dark soul, the power that flows through every human beneath the surface. The Dark Hand manifested in my grip, this black gauntlet that felt alive, hungry, aware. When I used it for the first time on a prisoner they brought before us, I felt the rush, pure intoxication. His humanity flowed into me like liquid fire, and for one perfect moment, I felt invincible. That feeling lasted exactly as long as it took for the humanity to settle into the void inside me. Then I felt emptier than before, hungrier, like taking one sip of water after days in the desert, enough to remind you of the need, but nowhere near enough to satisfy it. The armor came next. They told us it was a badge of honor, a symbol of our commitment to the new path. The skeletal design was meant to intimidate our enemies, to mark us as servants of the dark. What they did not tell us was that putting it on would be the last choice we ever made freely. I still remember the sensation. The mask settled over my face, and I felt it begin to change. The bone that formed the skull's grinning visage started to warm, then to soften, then to merge. My skin crawled inward, and the mask grew roots that burrowed into flesh. I tried to tear it off. My hands found purchase on the edges and pulled with every ounce of strength I possessed. The pain was exquisite. The mask was already part of me. Removing it would mean peeling away my own face. The breastplate fused to my ribs. The gauntlets became my hands. Every piece of the dark set sank into my body like a parasite claiming a host, until I could not tell where the armor ended and I began. I look down at my fingers now and see bones wrapped in metal, wrapped in something that used to be skin. I am neither knight nor corpse. I am a Darkwraith, and that is all I will ever be again. The hunger started almost immediately. That first taste of humanity I had stolen became a memory my body craved, like an addict craves their poison. Every moment without it felt like starvation. Every breath was an exercise in resisting the urge to drain anything and everyone around me. We hunted. That is what Darkwraiths do. We hunted through New Londo at first, seeking out those with soft humanity to offer, those whose essence would feed this bottomless need. I told myself I was serving a greater purpose. I told myself the Age of Dark was worth this sacrifice. I told myself a lot of lies in those early days. The Four Kings grew more powerful with each humanity we brought them. They grew taller, darker. Their forms began to stretch and distort, taking on shapes that hurt to perceive. They descended deeper into the abyss that had formed beneath our city, that lightless void where darkness takes physical form. We followed because we had no choice. The Covenant had branded itself into our very essence. We were bound to them and to Kaathe, slaves wearing the face of soldiers. The people of New Londo started to notice. How could they not? Their neighbors disappeared. Their loved ones were found drained of humanity, hollow shells that walked but no longer lived. Fear spread through the city like plague. The Four Kings did nothing to stop it. They encouraged it. Fear made people weak. Weakness made them easy prey. I want you to understand that I knew what we were doing was wrong. I was not mindless. I was not some beast operating on instinct alone. I knew. Every time I activated the Dark Hand, every time I felt that humanity flow into me, I knew I was stealing something precious, something irreplaceable. And I did it anyway, because the alternative was feeling that gnawing void inside me, that hunger that never sleeps. The abyss beneath New Londo grew larger. It fed on what we did, on the despair and death we spread. The darkness took on weight and substance, a living thing that pulsed with its own terrible heartbeat. The Four Kings made their throne at its center, and we Darkwraiths stood guard at its edges, forever hungry, forever serving. Then came the day the water rose. I was in the lower city when I heard the sound, a great groaning of stone and metal, followed by a roar like a waterfall multiplied by 1,000. The sealers had made their choice. They flooded New Londo. They drowned the entire city to contain us, to trap the Darkwraiths and the Abyss and the Four Kings in a tomb of water and darkness. The people never had a chance. Thousands of them. Men, women, children. I heard them screaming as the water rushed through the streets. I watched them claw at doors that would not open, at walls too high to climb. I watched them drown while I stood untouched, because the dark that had claimed me would not let something as simple as water kill me now. The water settled. The city became a graveyard. Bodies floated past me in the murk, their eyes still open, their mouths frozen in final screams. The cursed ghosts of those who died began to manifest, angry spirits that could not move on, trapped here just as surely as we were. New Londo became hell, wearing the skin of a city, and we Darkwraiths remained, trapped at the bottom of this flooded tomb, unable to die, unable to leave, unable to do anything but serve the Four Kings in their abyss, hunting the rare souls who ventured into these ruins, feeding that endless hunger that never diminishes no matter how much we consume. Centuries have passed, I think. Time means nothing down here where light does not reach. The water presses down from above like the weight of all those deaths, all those lives we destroyed. My armor has fused so completely with my body that I cannot remember what it felt like to move without it. My sword is an extension of my arm. The Dark Hand pulses with its own heartbeat that matches the rhythm of the abyss itself. I have invaded other worlds. That is what the Red Eye Orb allows. That burning eye that Kaathe granted me lets me tear through the fabric between worlds and manifest in someone else's reality. I hunt them there. I drain them there. I steal their humanity and pull it back with me into this darkness. And every single time, I feel nothing, no satisfaction, no fullness, just the temporary dulling of an ache that returns stronger than before. Do you want to know the worst part? The thing that makes this truly unbearable? I still think. I still remember. The dark has not taken my mind, only my freedom. I remember what I volunteered for. I remember believing Kaathe's promises. I remember the exact moment I realized those promises were lies, and by then, the mask was already fused to my face, and the hunger was already eating me from within. I watch new Darkwraiths join our ranks sometimes. They come seeking power, just like I did. They think the Red Eye Orb makes them strong. They think the ability to invade and drain humanity makes them dangerous. They do not understand yet that they have just added another link to an endless chain. They do not realize they are not gaining power, but signing it away forever to something that will never release them. The four kings still rule from their throne in the abyss. I have seen them. They are barely recognizable as anything that was once human. They are massive now, wraith-like forms that dwarf even the tallest knight, wielding swords as long as men are tall. They drain life with a touch, just as we do, but on a scale that makes our hunger look like a child's appetite. They are what waits for all of us, I think. Centuries more of service, and perhaps we too will lose even the shape of what we were. Artorias came once, the legendary Abyss Walker himself, one of Gwyn's 4 knights, sent to eliminate the threat we posed. I saw him from a distance, that great wolf at his side, moving through the flooded streets like death in armor. He hunted us. He killed dozens of Darkwraiths, and we could do nothing to stop him. His sword had been cursed specifically to harm creatures like us, and every blow from it felt like fire and lightning combined. But even Artorias could not reach the four kings. Even he could not cross into the abyss itself without the special covenant he forged with the very beasts he was meant to destroy. He failed, he left, and we remained, as we always have, as we always will. The seal held for so long, Ingward and the other sealers maintained it, keeping the water high, keeping us trapped. I used to hate them for it. Now I am not sure. Is it mercy or cruelty to keep a monster caged? They drowned an entire city to contain us. Thousands died, but how many more would have died if they had done nothing? If we had been allowed to spread beyond New Londo, to carry our hunger into the wider world? I do not have answers to questions like that anymore. I have only hunger. I have only this endless service to masters who fell to dark so long ago, I cannot remember their faces before the abyss claimed them. I have only the cold pressure of water above and the colder pull of darkness below. The Red Eye Orb burns in my socket, not my hand, my socket, where my left eye used to be. The orb fused there the day Kaathe raised me to rank 1 in the Covenant, after I had fed him 10 humanities stolen from the living. I felt it burrow in like a hot coal, pressing through flesh, and then my vision changed. I could suddenly see beyond the veil between worlds, perceive the threads that connect all the realms where the living walk and breathe and carry their soft, precious humanity. I can invade whenever I choose now. The Red Eye Orb never breaks, never fails, never runs out. It is the ultimate gift of the Darkwraith Covenant and the ultimate curse, because it means there is never an excuse to stop, never a reason to rest. The hunger demands feeding, and the orb provides endless opportunity to hunt. When I invade, I tear through reality itself. The transition feels like being pulled through freezing water and boiling oil simultaneously. For a moment, I exist nowhere, suspended in the space between spaces, and then I manifest in someone else's world. Sometimes it is the undead burg, with its familiar stone and fire. Sometimes it is places I have never seen, forests or castles or ruins I do not recognize. It does not matter where, only that there is someone there with humanity to take. They always look so surprised. These undead I invade, these travelers making their way through a dying world, They see the red phantom manifest, the skeletal armor, the dark sword in my hand, and their faces shift from surprise to fear in the space of a heartbeat. Some fight, some run. Some try to reason with me, to beg, to offer souls or items or anything that might convince me to leave them be. I drain them anyway, because the hunger does not negotiate, because the covenant demands it, because I stopped being able to make that choice the day the mask fused to my face. The dark hand reaches out and makes contact. Their humanity flows into me like liquid light, and for just a moment, I remember what it felt like to be whole. Then it passes through me and into the abyss, feeding the four kings, feeding Kaathe, feeding everything except the emptiness inside me. I am nothing but a conduit now, a tool to gather humanity for masters who will never be satisfied. After I drain them, I watch them hollow. It happens fast when I use the dark hand at full power, when I take everything they have in one terrible embrace. Their eyes go vacant, their posture changes. They stop being a person and become just another hollow, another shambling corpse that exists but does not live. Some of them do not even realize what has happened at first. They look at their hands, confused, trying to understand why they suddenly feel so empty. Then I am pulled back. The Red Eye Orb draws me home to New Londo, to the flooded darkness, to the abyss that waits below. I cannot stay in other worlds even if I wanted to. The Covenant will not allow it. I am permitted to hunt, to drain, to steal, and then I must return with my stolen goods like a dog bringing prey to its master. The water in New Londo is not natural. It has weight beyond what water should have. It presses down with the force of all those deaths, all those thousands who drowned when the sealers made their choice. I move through it easily now, because the dark that claimed me is heavier than water, denser than death. I sink to the bottom, where the Darkwraiths patrol, in the permanent twilight of the drowned city. We do not speak to each other much anymore. There was a time when we tried to maintain some sense of fellowship, some connection that might remind us we were once men who served together, but centuries of hunger burned that away. Now we are competitors more than brothers, each of us seeking the scraps of humanity that drift into these ruins, each of us desperate to feed the void inside, even though we know it will never be filled. I have killed other Darkwraiths. Not often, but sometimes our hunts overlap. Sometimes we both reach for the same prey, and the hunger overrides whatever remnant of loyalty might still exist. We fight then, dark sword against dark sword, and whoever wins takes the humanity. The loser sinks to the bottom and eventually rises again, because we cannot die. Not truly. Not while the four kings still claim us, and the abyss still hungers. The lower ruins are where most of us gather. After the seal was opened and the water drained away, we were free to move through the entire city again, to stalk the corpse-strewn streets and hunt anything foolish enough to enter. We stand in the shadows between buildings that were once homes, past doors that once opened to families gathering for meals. The ghosts still drift through walls, still shriek their anguish at deaths they cannot escape. We ignore them. They have no humanity to take. They are as hollow as we are. The path to the abyss leads down through the tower. I walk it sometimes, even when I am not being summoned, drawn by something I cannot name. The spiral stairs descend into darkness that grows thicker with each step, until even my cursed vision struggles to pierce it. At the bottom is the drop, the place where solid ground simply ends and the abyss begins. You need the covenant of Artorias to survive that fall. The ring the Abyss Walker forged with the beasts of the abyss, blessed by Sif himself. Without it, the darkness will kill you instantly, crushing you out of existence like an insect. With it, you can walk in that lightless void where the four kings hold court. I hate going there. I am compelled to go there. The covenant demands that I present myself before my masters, that I pay tribute in stolen humanity, that I witness their terrible glory and remember what awaits all who serve the dark. The four kings are not four anymore. I do not know if they ever were, or if that was just a name given by those who could not comprehend what they had become. When you fight them in the abyss, They emerge one after another from the darkness itself, wraith-like giants in tattered crowns, wielding swords that look like they were forged from solidified night. They use the same art we do, Lifedrain, but when they embrace you, it takes everything, every scrap of humanity, every memory of light, every tiny piece of whatever made you more than hollow. I have watched them drain other undead, who managed to reach the abyss. Watch the victims age centuries in seconds as the kings pulled not just humanity, but life itself from their bodies. Watch them crumble to dust that dissolves into the darkness like they never existed at all. That is my future. Serve long enough, drain enough humanity, feed the abyss enough stolen life, and eventually the dark will consume what little remains of who I was. I will become like them, a wraith with a crown, a king of nothing ruling over emptiness. The thought should terrify me. Instead, it feels almost like relief, because at least then I will stop remembering what it felt like to be human. Kaathe visits sometimes. The primordial serpent slides through the abyss like it is his natural home, which perhaps it is. He speaks to the newer Darkwraiths about the Age of Dark, about the plan of the furtive pygmy, about how we are serving humanity's true purpose by hastening the end of the Age of Fire. He makes it sound noble. He makes it sound like we have a choice. I wanted to kill him once. I drew my dark sword and rushed at his serpentine form, screaming rage that had been building for decades. The blade passed through him like he was made of smoke. He looked at me with those ancient eyes and smiled, if serpents can smile. And I understood then that he is so far beyond us that attacking him is like a child throwing stones at the sun. He is older than the abyss, older than the Age of Fire, older than the concepts of light and dark that wage eternal war across the dying lands. He created us to serve his purpose. We are tools, weapons he forged to drain humanity from the world, to speed the coming darkness that he claims is humanity's birthright. Whether he believes that, or whether it is simply what he wants, does not matter. We have no choice but to serve him. The dark sword I carry is lighter than it looks, but heavier than any weapon should be. It absorbs light. When I swing it, the air around the blade darkens, like it is cutting away reality itself. I have killed hundreds with this sword, maybe thousands. I stopped counting after the first century because the numbers stopped meaning anything. They are just obstacles between me and the humanity I need to take, just bodies that fall and let me drain what I came for. Some of them haunt me, not as ghosts, as memories I cannot shake. The young knight who begged me to spare him because he had promised someone he would return. The old warrior who faced me without fear, accepting death like an old friend. The hollow who still had just enough humanity left to weep as I drained the last of it away. I remember their faces, every single one. That is my punishment, I think, to remember, to know what I am doing while being powerless to stop, to carry the weight of every life I have stolen while the hunger drives me to steal more. The humanity I drain does not just disappear. It flows through me into the abyss, feeding the darkness that birthed this nightmare. I can feel it happening. Each stolen essence passes through the dark sword, through the dark hand, through my corrupted body, and sinks down into that bottomless void beneath the Four Kings' throne. The abyss grows stronger with every humanity I feed it. The darkness spreads, and I am the one making it happen. We are called the oldest of the Red Eye invaders. Other covenants in other times have tried to copy what we do, to invade and hunt and kill for their own purposes. The Brotherhood of Blood, Rosaria's Fingers, pale shadows of the Darkwraith Covenant, pretenders who play at darkness without understanding what it truly costs. They can leave their covenants if they choose. They can change their minds. They wear their allegiance like clothing that can be removed. We are the original, the template, the ones who showed the dying world what it means to truly serve the dark. And we can never leave. The covenant is branded into our essence, woven through our corrupted bodies, fused with the skeletal armor that has become our skin. Abandoning the Darkwraiths is not a choice we can make anymore. We are Darkwraiths. That is all we are. That is all we will ever be. I think about Sif sometimes. The great wolf, who guards the grave of his master Artorias. I wonder if he knows what his master's ring is used for now. The covenant of Artorias that was meant to let the Abyss Walker hunt creatures like us now allows undead to descend into the abyss and potentially join our ranks. Artorias would have hated that. He would have seen it as the ultimate betrayal of everything he fought for. But Artorias failed, just like everyone fails eventually. The abyss cannot be defeated. It can only be contained, and even that is temporary. The seal on New Londo held for centuries, but seals always break. The water always drains away. The Darkwraiths always emerge to hunt again. The cycle continues because it must, because the dark is patient, and the age of fire is ending whether anyone wants it to or not. There are others like me, scattered across the dying lands now. The four kings are gone, slain by some undead, powerful enough to challenge them in the abyss itself. I felt it when they died. Every Darkwraith did. A sudden severing, like a rope that had been pulling us forward, suddenly went slack. We thought for one beautiful moment that we might be free. We were wrong. The covenant did not break. The hunger did not stop. We were released from New Londo, only to discover that our prison was never the flooded city. Our prison is the darkness inside us, the hunger that never sleeps, the compulsion to drain humanity that drives us forward, even when there is no master left to serve. Some Darkwraiths made it to Lothric. I heard stories from the few who returned. They said the kingdom of Lothric is dying just like everywhere else, that the fire fades there too, that darkness creeps through its streets. They said a Darkwraith, with an unbroken Red Eye Orb, killed countless knights before being imprisoned, that our kind still hunts there among the ruins and the corpses. Others went to Farron Keep, drawn by the abyss that corrupted that place just as surely as it corrupted New Londo. The Abyss Watchers there tried to eliminate them, but Darkwraiths are hard to kill and impossible to stop. Some remain there still, I think, patrolling the poison swamps and the rotting woods, forever hunting, forever hungry. I stayed in New Londo. I have nowhere else to go. This is my home now, this flooded tomb where thousands died to contain what I became. Walking these streets that I once protected, seeing the bodies still floating in stagnant pools, passing homes where families once lived. This is my penance. Leaving would feel like escape, and I do not deserve to escape. The armor grows heavier, not in weight, in presence. Each year that passes sees it fuse deeper, claim more of what little humanity I have left. I look at my hands and see bone wrapped in dark metal, wrapped in something that might still technically be flesh. I am becoming the armor, or the armor is becoming me. The distinction stopped mattering somewhere in the 2nd century of service. My dark sword feels like it is growing from my arm now, rather than being held by my hand. I cannot remember the last time I set it down. I am not sure I could, even if I tried. The weapon and I are one thing now, just as the armor and I are one thing, just as the hunger and I are one thing. This is what it means to be a Darkwraith, to slowly dissolve into the darkness you serve, until there is nothing left but hunger wearing the shape of a knight, to steal humanity while having none yourself, to invade endless worlds, seeking something that will never fill the void, to serve masters who have fallen so far into dark that they barely remember what it means to be served. And the worst part, the part that makes this truly unbearable, is that I chose this. I volunteered. I stepped forward when the 4 kings asked for knights brave enough to learn the art of Lifedrain. I believed Kaathe's promises about power and purpose in the age of dark. Nobody forced me, nobody tricked me. I walked into this nightmare with my eyes open, believing I was choosing strength when I was really choosing slavery. That knowledge sits in my chest like a stone. I did this to myself, and that is a truth I carry into every invasion, every hunt, every moment of this endless service. The abyss speaks sometimes, not in words, in feelings that crawl through your mind like insects beneath skin. It tells you things you do not want to know. It shows you visions of what you are becoming. It whispers that the hunger is good, that taking humanity is natural, that you are simply doing what the dark soul was always meant to do. I listen to these whispers because I have no choice. The abyss is inside me now, has been for centuries. It lives in the spaces between my thoughts, in the moments between heartbeats, that come slower and slower as the years pass. Sometimes I cannot tell if a thought is mine or if it comes from the darkness that has claimed me. The line between self and void grows thinner every day. There was a girl once, before all this, before the mask fused to my face. I think her name started with an M. Maria? Mara? The memory slips away like water through cupped hands every time I try to hold it. She had dark hair, or maybe it was light. She smiled at me once in a market square where merchants sold fruit and bread to people who were still alive, still capable of simple joy. I wonder if I drained her after I became what I am. After the hunger took hold, New Londo was not a large city. I must have hunted through every street, invaded every home, drained every person who had humanity to take. The odds are good that at some point, my dark hand reached for her, pulled her essence into this void inside me, left her hollow and empty, while I felt nothing but that brief moment of almost satisfaction before the hunger returned. I hope I killed her quickly, at least. I hope she did not suffer, but I do not remember, and that might be worse than remembering. To have stolen someone's humanity, someone who mattered to me once, and not even have the decency to carry that specific guilt, just to add her to the pile of nameless faces that blur together into one long scream of stolen lives. The newer Darkwraiths do not understand this yet. The ones who join seeking power, who think the Red Eye Orb makes them dangerous. They invade with confidence. They hunt with purpose. They believe they are in control. Give them a century or two. Give them time to drain 1,000 humanities and feel nothing. Give them time to watch their armor fuse deeper, to feel the abyss settle into their bones, to realize that every humanity they steal makes them less human than before. They will understand then, when it is too late, when the mask has fused to their face and the hunger has become all they are, when they realize that joining the Darkwraiths was not gaining power, but signing away everything that power was meant to protect. What do you think really happened here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would like to know if I am the only one who feels this way. The Dark Hand has changed over the centuries. It used to feel like a weapon, like something external I was using. Now it feels like my actual hand, like this black gauntlet pulsing with dark energy is the real thing, and the flesh underneath is just a memory. When I activate it, when I reach out to drain someone, it happens almost automatically now. The hunger sees humanity, and the hand reaches out before conscious thought even registers. I am becoming pure instinct, pure need, pure void, seeking to fill itself with something it can never hold. Ranking up in the Covenant made things worse, not better. At rank 3, after feeding Kaathe 80 humanities stolen from the living, the Dark Hand can drain 10 humanities in a single embrace, 10 lives worth of stolen essence flowing through me in the space of a heartbeat. It should have satisfied the hunger. It should have been enough. Instead, it just made the void deeper, the need sharper, the compulsion stronger. I can steal a saint's worth of humanity in the blink of an eye now, just like the ancient Darkwraiths could. The ones who served the 4 kings before New Londo was even built. The ones who were so powerful, so corrupted, so thoroughly claimed by the abyss that they could drain replete saints, humans overflowing with humanity and light, and take everything in one touch. I have become what they were. I have achieved the dark mastery Kaathe promised, and it means nothing. Nothing except I can feed the void faster while it grows emptier with every feeding. The Red Eye Orb shows me worlds I cannot save. When I activate it, when I prepare to invade, I see glimpses of the realms it will take me to. I see undead travelers making their way through dying lands, struggling against impossible odds, trying to reach some goal that probably matters to them. I see their determined faces. I see their hard-won progress. I see the humanity they carry, precious and soft and vulnerable. Then I invade and I ruin everything they have worked for. I manifest as a red phantom in their world, and I hunt them down and I drain them, not because I hate them, not because they have done anything to me, because the Covenant demands it, because the hunger, will not stop, because I am a Darkwraith, and destruction is all I have left to offer the world. Some of them are skilled, some of them fight well, force me to work for the kill, make me remember techniques I learned centuries ago when I still cared about honor in combat. Those fights feel almost good, almost like purpose. For a few moments, I am a knight again, testing my skill against a worthy opponent, engaged in something that feels meaningful, even if it is not. Then, I win, because I always win eventually. Centuries of practice, armor fused to my body, a sword that has tasted more blood than some rivers carry water. I win and I drain them and I watch them hollow and I feel nothing. Just the brief touch of stolen humanity passing through me on its way to the abyss. Just another tally mark on a list that stopped having meaning before most current kingdoms were even founded. Some hosts summon help. They bring phantoms to fight me, white spirits or gold, desperate allies trying to protect them from the Red Invader. I kill them too. Sometimes I drain them first, steal their humanity before I even finish the host. The Dark Hand works on phantoms just as well as it works on anyone else. They fade back to their own worlds, hollow and empty, wondering what just happened, not understanding that they just sacrificed more than their time to help a stranger. There are no good invasions, no righteous kills, no justified hunts. Every single one is theft. Every single one is me taking something precious from someone who needs it, to remain human, to remain themselves, to remain anything other than a hollow shell shambling through a dying world, and I do it anyway. Again and again, world after world, century after century, the abyss grows. I can feel it. Every humanity I feed it expands its reach, strengthens its claim on reality, brings the Age of Dark one step closer. Kaathe says, this is good. Kaathe says the dark is humanity's true nature, that we are reclaiming what the gods stole from us, that the Age of Fire was always a prison, and the Age of Dark will be our liberation. Maybe he believes that. Maybe it is even true. But liberation that requires me to steal the humanity from thousands of innocents does not feel like freedom. It feels like damnation wearing a crown. I have invaded the same person multiple times. The Red Eye Orb does not care. It shows me worlds where humanity exists, and I invade them. Sometimes I recognize the host, the same armor, the same weapon, the same desperate fighting style. I drained them yesterday, or a week ago, or a year ago, and here they are again, having fought their way back to humanity, having gathered enough souls and strength to try again. And here I am too, manifesting as a red phantom in their world again, hunting them again, draining them again. Do they recognize me? Do they remember the skeletal armor and the dark sword and the terrible embrace of the Dark Hand? Do they think, why him again? Do they wonder what they did to deserve being hunted by the same Darkwraith over and over? Or have they invaded so many times, died so many deaths, lost so much that one more red phantom is just another obstacle in an endless series of obstacles I want to stop? That desire lives somewhere deep inside me, buried under centuries of hunger and corruption, but still there, still whispering that this is wrong. I want to set down the dark sword, remove the armor that has fused to my body, walk away from the abyss and Kaathe and the covenant that has claimed me. I want to stop invading, stop draining, stop stealing humanity from people who have so little of it left, but I cannot. The covenant will not release me. The armor cannot be removed. The hunger will not sleep, and even if I could somehow break free, even if some miracle severed my connection to the Darkwraiths, what would I be then? A hollow wearing skeletal armor, a monster without a master, still hungry, still corrupted, still carrying the weight of every humanity I have stolen. Freedom would not give me back what I lost. It would just mean suffering alone instead of suffering in service. The ghosts of New Londo hate us, the cursed spirits of those who drowned when the sealers flooded the city. They shriek when we pass. They claw at us with translucent hands that pass through our dark-claimed bodies. They remember that we were the reason their city was destroyed, that we were the threat so terrible that drowning thousands of innocents was considered the lesser evil. They are right to hate us. We destroyed their lives twice. Once, when we became Darkwraiths and started draining our neighbors. Again, when our hunger grew so great that the only solution was to drown the entire city with all its people still inside. Every ghost floating through these flooded streets is evidence of what serving the abyss truly costs. Not just the servants who give themselves to darkness, everyone around them, everyone unlucky enough to live in the same city, walk the same streets, exist in the same world as creatures like us. If you have ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I will be reading them. I know what the sealers felt now. Ingward and the others who made the decision to flood New Londo. I understand the weight of choosing between terrible options. They could let us spread, let the Darkwraiths and the Abyss consume the world, one humanity at a time. Or they could contain us, trap us, drown us along with everyone else in the city and hope that would be enough. They chose containment. They chose to sacrifice thousands to potentially save millions. I wonder if Ingward lies awake at night, if he even still sleeps, thinking about all those faces beneath the water. I wonder if he tells himself it was worth it. I wonder if he is right. The seal broke eventually. Someone opened it, drained the water, exposed the corpse-strewn streets to air and light again, gave Darkwraiths access to the surface. Let us hunt beyond New Londo's walls for the first time in centuries. Was that liberation? Was that justice? Or was that the moment the sealer's sacrifice became meaningless, all those deaths for nothing because the seal only delayed the inevitable? I do not have answers. I have only this hunger and this armor and this sword and the endless compulsion to invade and drain and feed the void inside me. Philosophy is for people who still have the luxury of choice. I am a Darkwraith. I am a weapon. I am a warning that should have been heeded. The dark sword in my hand has a sheath on my waist. I remember when that detail mattered to me, when I cared about appearances, about looking like a proper knight, even while doing terrible things. The sheath is still there, fused to my armor, just like everything else. But I cannot remember the last time I sheathed the blade. It is always drawn now, always ready, always hungry for the next kill. Some undead I invade try to talk to me. They see the red phantom manifest, and instead of fighting or running, they try to communicate. They gesture. They message. They try to find some common ground, some humanity we might share that could spare them from what I have come to do. It never works. Not because I am cruel, because I cannot stop. The hunger drives me forward. The covenant compels me. The abyss demands feeding. Their words are just sounds. Their gestures are just movements. All I see is the humanity they carry, and all I feel is the need to take it. Do they understand what they are looking at when they see a Darkwraith? Do they know we were once knights who served with honor? Do they know we volunteered for this nightmare? Or do they just see a monster in skeletal armor, another enemy to defeat or avoid, another obstacle between them and wherever they are trying to go? Maybe that is mercy. Maybe it is better that they do not know. Better to face a monster than to face the knowledge that monsters are made, not born, that anyone can become what I have become, given the right promises and the wrong choices. That the darkness waiting to claim you is not some external force, but something that lives inside all of us, waiting for permission to emerge. I am becoming hollow, not in the technical sense. I still have humanity flowing through me, stolen from others, never staying, but always passing through. But in every way that matters, I am becoming empty. The memories fade, the emotions dull. The person I was before the mask fused to my face dissolves like salt in water, until all that remains is this hunger and this service and this endless cycle of invasion and drain and return. Maybe that is the final mercy the abyss offers, that eventually you forget what you lost. Eventually, the weight of all those stolen humanities stops crushing you because you stop being capable of feeling crushed. Eventually, you become the monster completely, and the human you were stops whispering protests from the depths of your consciousness. Eventually, it stops hurting. I am not there yet. I still remember. I still feel. I still know what I have become and what I continue to do with every invasion, every hunt, every activation of the Dark Hand. And that knowing is its own special torture because I cannot change it and I cannot escape it and I cannot even die to end it. This is what it means to serve the Abyss for eternity, to become less human with every humanity you steal, to wear armor that is fused with your flesh until you cannot tell where you end and it begins, to carry a sword that has become an extension of your arm, to invade endless worlds seeking something that will never satisfy the hunger, to watch the darkness grow stronger while you grow emptier, to remember everything while becoming nothing. The four kings understood this before they fell completely. I think that is why they descended so deep into the abyss, why they made their throne in that lightless void where even cursed vision struggles to see. They knew what they were becoming. They knew the price of the power Kaathe offered. They chose it anyway, and then they chose to hide in the darkness, where they would not have to see the city they destroyed, or the knights they corrupted, or the civilization they sacrificed for the promise of an age of dark that may never come. I cannot hide. The Red Eye Orb will not let me. It shows me the living world in all its dying glory. It forces me to see what I am taking from. It makes me witness every face I drain, every hope I crush, every journey I end prematurely. The Abyss will not grant me the mercy of ignorance. It wants me to know. It wants me to remember. It wants me to understand exactly what I have become. If this story has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these dark confessions from the dying lands, hit that subscribe button. It tells me someone out there is still paying attention to warnings like these. The worst invasions are the ones where I recognize something of myself. A knight in worn armor, moving with the careful precision of someone trained in proper combat. An undead who stops before a decision, weighing options like someone who still believes choices matter. A hollow who has not quite given up, who still fights for something beyond simple survival. I see fragments of who I was in these people, and then I drain them anyway. I take what little humanity keeps them tethered to, themselves, and I pull it into this void where it disappears like water into sand. I watch the light leave their eyes. I watch them become what I am becoming, and I feel the hunger gnaw deeper, unsatisfied, always unsatisfied, forever demanding more. There are other red phantoms in the worlds I invade, other covenants that grant the power to hunt the living. Some of them see me and recognize what I am. The skeletal armor is distinctive. The dark sword marks me as clearly as any banner. They know a Darkwraith when they see one. Sometimes they give me space, respecting the oldest of the red-eyed invaders. Sometimes they try to compete for the kill, racing me to the host. I always win these races. Centuries of practice, hunger that will not be denied. A body that has fused so completely with its armor that I move with terrible efficiency. I reach the host first, drain them first, pull their humanity through the void back to the abyss before any other invader can claim it. Not because I need the souls, because the covenant demands the humanity, because feeding the darkness is all I know how to do anymore. The dark sword I carry is not unique. Other Darkwraiths bear the same weapon. We all received one when we reached rank 2 in the Covenant, along with the skeletal armor that would fuse to our bodies and mark us forever as servants of the dark. The sword's description calls it a symbol of our diabolical art. It absorbs light. It cuts through hope. It has ended more lives than I can count or remember or bear to acknowledge. Some warriors covet this blade. They see Darkwraiths wielding it, and they want that power for themselves. They do not understand that the sword is not the source of our strength. The sword is a symptom, a tool given to those who have already sacrificed everything. You do not gain power by taking the dark sword from a Darkwraith's corpse. You just hold a weapon that remembers all the terrible things it has been used for, and eventually, that weight breaks you too. I have been broken for centuries now. The pieces of who I was are scattered across time and memory, impossible to gather, impossible to reassemble. I am a creature of hunger, wearing the broken shell of a knight. I am armor fused to corrupted flesh, fused to stolen darkness. I am a warning that nobody heeds, because by the time you understand what I am trying to warn you about, you have already made the choices that will turn you into me. Kaathe calls us revolutionaries, defenders of the human race, servants of humanity's true nature, trying to bring about the age of dark that was always our birthright. He spins our horror into philosophy. He makes our monstrousness sound like purpose. He gives us reasons for what we do that almost sound noble if you do not look too closely at the corpses piling up behind his words. Maybe he believes it. Maybe in his ancient serpent mind, draining humanity to hasten the age of dark really is serving humanity's best interests. Maybe the age of fire really is a prison, and we really are working toward liberation. Or maybe he just needs us to believe that, so we continue serving, continue feeding the abyss, continue building the darkness he wants to see consume the world. I do not know anymore. I cannot afford to know. Because if Kaathe is lying, if the age of dark is not liberation but just another cage, if everything I have done and become and stolen was for nothing, then the weight of that truth would crush even this corrupted thing I have become. So I choose not to know. I choose to serve. I choose to believe there is purpose in this nightmare, because the alternative is accepting I destroyed myself and countless others for a lie told by a serpent who does not care about humanity at all. The humanity I drain goes somewhere, through me, through the dark hand, through the dark sword, sinking down into the abyss, like rain soaking into parched earth. The abyss grows with every feeding. I can feel it expanding, claiming more territory, spreading its influence through the dying lands like roots through rotting wood. I am making this happen. Every invasion, every drain, every stolen essence feeding the darkness that will eventually swallow everything. Is that good? Is that what humanity needs? I do not get to have opinions anymore. I am a Darkwraith. I am the instrument through which the abyss feeds. My purpose is not to question but to serve, and I have been serving for so long that I have forgotten what it feels like to choose anything else. Some of the undead I invade are trying to link the fire. They carry Lord souls. They have defeated the great beings of this dying age. They are heroes in the classic sense, warriors strong enough to potentially succeed Gwyn, to sacrifice themselves, to prolong the age of fire for another cycle. I invade them anyway. I drain them anyway. I steal their humanity and send it to feed the darkness they are trying to hold back. Am I the villain in their story? The obstacle between them and their noble goal? Or are they the villains in mine, trying to perpetuate a cycle that should end, trying to cage humanity in fire for another age when we could finally be free? I do not know. I do not get to know. I am just the thing that hunts them, drains them, feeds on what they carry, while the larger questions of fate and fire and dark play out on scales too vast for me to comprehend. There are worse fates than being a Darkwraith. I have seen them, the Chaos Servants corrupted by the Witch of Izalith's failed experiment, the Crystal Hollows twisted by Seath's mad research, the residents of Ulasil consumed by the Abyss in ways that make even my corruption look gentle. The Abyss takes many forms, claims victims in countless ways, and being a Darkwraith is just one flavor of damnation among many. But it is my damnation. I cannot compare it to others and find comfort in the comparison. I can only carry it. This weight of centuries spent hunting and draining and feeding the void. I can only continue serving because stopping is not an option and dying is not available, and escape would just mean being a monster without purpose instead of a monster with one. The red eye in my socket burns brighter when I am close to someone with abundant humanity. It senses prey the way a shark senses blood in water. The hunger sharpens, my movements quicken. The dark hand pulses with anticipation. I become pure predator in those moments, all reason and memory and guilt burning away in the face of that overwhelming need to take, to drain, to feed. Then I catch them. Then I activate the dark hand. Then their humanity flows through me on its way to the abyss. And for one perfect, terrible moment, I feel almost whole, almost satisfied, almost like the void inside me might actually be filled this time. Then it passes and I am empty again, hungrier than before, already searching for the next invasion, the next hunt, the next temporary reprieve from this endless, gnawing need. This is addiction. I understand that now. The hunger is addiction, given physical form and eternal duration. I am an addict who cannot die, cannot recover, cannot do anything but feed the need that defines me. The humanity is my substance. The invasions are my ritual. The momentary satisfaction is my high. And the crushing emptiness that follows is my withdrawal, driving me back to hunt again, drain again, feed again. Addicts can recover in the world I remember. They can choose to stop, seek help, rebuild their lives. I cannot stop. The covenant will not release me. The armor fused to my body constantly reminds me what I am. The abyss inside me demands feeding. I am an addict with no hope of recovery, sentenced to feed this need forever, while knowing exactly what it costs and being powerless to change it. Some nights, when the distinction between night and day even matters, in the lightless depths of flooded New Londo, I stand at the edge of the abyss and consider jumping without the covenant of Artorias, just stepping off the edge and letting the darkness crush me instantly, obliterate me so completely that not even the covenant's claim could pull me back. True death, true ending, true escape. But I never do it. Maybe because some small part of me still hopes for something better. Maybe because even this corrupted existence feels preferable to non-existence. Maybe because the covenant would not let me even if I tried, would stop my legs from stepping forward, would keep me alive and suffering because that is what I am for. To suffer, to hunt, to drain, to serve the abyss forever. The age of fire is ending. Everyone can see it. The first flame fades, the great souls scatter, the kingdoms crumble, the undead curse spreads. Everything that defines this age is dying, and what comes after is the darkness Kaathe promised, the age of dark that we Darkwraiths have been building one stolen humanity at a time. Will that age be better? Will humanity finally be free? Will the hunger stop when the darkness covers everything and there is nothing left to drain? I do not believe it. I think the age of dark will just be different suffering, different cages, different ways for the powerful to exploit the weak. I think Kaathe will find new uses for his Darkwraiths, new humanities to drain, new abysses to feed. I think the hunger will never stop because it was never about the age of fire or the age of dark. It was always about creating weapons that could not stop cutting. I am one of those weapons, sharpened by centuries, honed by endless practice, perfected into something that hunts with terrible efficiency and feels nothing while doing it. I am what happens when you give power to someone willing to sacrifice everything for it, then leave them alive long enough to understand what they have become. New undead still try to join the Darkwraith Covenant. They make the journey to New Londo, drain the water, defeat the four kings, speak with Kaathe. They listen to his promises about power and purpose. They accept the dark hand. They feel that first rush of stolen humanity. They think they have gained something valuable. They do not realize they have already lost everything that mattered. I want to warn them. I want to grab them by the shoulders and scream into their faces that this is not power, this is slavery, that the hunger will consume them, that the armor will fuse to their flesh, that they will spend centuries or more regretting the choice they are making right now in this moment. But I cannot. The covenant will not allow it. Kaathe would never permit his newest servants to be driven away by the warnings of his oldest. So I stay silent. I watch them accept the mask that will fuse to their faces. I watch them take their first steps down the path I have been walking for centuries, and I feel nothing. Because feeling would require being human, and humanity is something I steal from others, not something I possess myself. I am hollow in every way that matters. I am a void seeking to fill itself with voids stolen from others. I am the end result of serving the abyss, and I am what they will become if they serve long enough. The dying lands are filled with warnings that nobody heeds, kingdoms flooded to contain threats that could not be contained, experiments that twisted their creators into monsters, covenants that demanded more than they gave, promises that turned to poison, My existence is one more warning in a world that has stopped listening to warnings, because the alternative to moving forward is standing still in a world that will not let you stand still for long. So they join the Darkwraiths, they take the Dark Hand, they make their first invasion, they drain their first humanity and feel that rush of power. They add another link to an endless chain. They become another warning that will be ignored by the next person seeking power at any cost. This is the cycle, not the cycle of fire and dark that Kaathe preaches about. The cycle of those who seek power becoming enslaved by it, then watching helplessly as others make the same choice they made, unable to warn them, unable to stop them, unable to do anything but serve alongside them in the darkness they all chose. I was a knight of New Londo. I swore oaths to protect the city and its people. I trained for years to earn my place among the Four Kings' Guard. I believed in honor, in duty, in service to something greater than myself. Then Kaathe came with his promises, and I traded all of that for power I thought would make me strong. I got the power. I became stronger than I ever imagined, and I lost everything that made strength worth having. This is my confession. This is my warning. This is the truth they will not tell you when they offer you the Dark Hand and speak about the Age of Dark and promise you purpose in exchange for service. The truth is that serving the Abyss costs everything. The truth is that the hunger never stops. The truth is that you will become a monster who remembers being human, and that memory will be the cruelest torture of all. If you are reading this, if you are considering joining the Darkwraiths, if Kaathe's promises sound appealing, then understand this. I cannot stop you. The Covenant will not let me interfere, but I can tell you what waits at the end of this path. Centuries of hunting and draining and feeding an emptiness that grows larger with every feeding. Armor fused to your flesh, a mask bonded to your face, humanity flowing through you without ever filling you, the knowledge that you are making the darkness stronger while becoming emptier yourself, and you will serve forever, because Darkwraiths do not die. We do not retire. We do not get released from our oaths when they become unbearable. We serve until the Abyss itself ends, if the Abyss even can end, and every moment of that service will remind us of the choice we made when we stepped forward and said yes to Kaathe's whispered promises. I am still serving, still invading, still draining humanity from the living to feed the bottomless void, still walking these flooded streets where thousands died to contain what I became, still wearing armor that has fused so completely with my body that I cannot remember what it felt like to move without it. Still carrying this hunger that defines me more than any name I have forgotten or any face I can no longer see beneath this mask. This is what it means to be a Darkwraith. This is what they are selling when they offer you power. This is the price of serving the Abyss for eternity, and I paid it willingly, eagerly, believing I was choosing strength when I was really choosing to become this thing that hunts and drains and serves and suffers and cannot stop. I sold my soul for power. The Abyss took everything else as interest, and the debt will never be paid.